Very good morning. So shall we begin? In the last class, we have talked about the chapter number 4. What are the various data sources by which we can get the data? What is the normalization and why we are getting the data sources, or what is the relevance of the data mining data sources that you studied in the last class? That is what is a metadata? What is a big data? What is an enterprise database? DBMS we have studied in the last class. Now let's move to the today's topic, that is the data warehouse. That is how we are going to use the data warehouse. So an organization have a begin to utilize a business or databases as a enterprise or centerpiece of their operation. So whatever the information, whatever the databases that is required, so organization has begun to utilize the database as a centerpiece. A centerpiece means as a required piece of their operations. The need to fully So there is a need to fully understand and leverage the data they are collecting as it's become more and more apparent. So their data, their organization, their databases are in operation, and their need to fully understand and leverage the data they are collecting has become more and more useful or important. However, directly analyzing the data that is needed for day-to-day operations is not as good idea. We don't want to text the operations of the company more than we need to. So we're not going to take the operations of the data for the day-to-day operation. That is not a good idea. We do not want to text the operations of the company more than we need to. Further, the organization also need to or also wants to analyze the data in a historical sense. And how does the data we have today compare with the same set of data at this time in the last month of the last year? And from these needs arose the concept of the data warehouse. That means where we put the data, where we store the data. That concept is known as a data warehouse. So the concept database is very simple. That is extracting the data from one or more organizations' databases and load into the data warehouse. That means taking out the data from various databases and load into the data warehouse, fetching the data from various databases and extract or compare how the data will be used, or why we are going to compare the data with the multiple sets of the computers. This one. And that is used for the storage, that is used for the analysis. So first of all, fetching the data from the data warehouses from the organization and load into the data warehouse for the storage and the analysis. However, the execution of this concept is not that simple, but the data warehouse should be designed so that it meets the following criteria. So this is done to meet the criteria. Now, what is the criteria that is taken out with the data warehouse? First of all, it uses non-operational data. That the operation or the data, whatever the data that is taken, that is not operational. That means there is no operation that is carried out on the data, but that is a non-operational. This means that the data warehouse is using a copy of the data from the activity database that the company uses in the day-to-day scenario, in the day-to-day operation, so that the data warehouse must pull the data from the existing databases on a regular scheduled basis. The proper data that is scheduled on a regular scheduled basis. Then the data is a time variant. So first of all, it is a non-operational data we have done. The next one is a time variant. Time variant means whatever the data, or whenever the data is loaded into the data warehouse, it receives a timestamp that allows for the comparisons between the different time periods. Then the data is standardized. So first of all, whatever the data that is available in the data warehouse, that must be a non-operational data, that must be a time variant, time limited. The next one is that must be standardized. Standardized in the sense, whenever we are using the different sources, it is possible that the data does not use the same definition to the same unit. For example, event table in our student club that we have discussed lists the event state using the MMDDYY format, that is 110-2013. Then a table in another database might use the format YYMMDD. This depends on the warehouse. This depends on the table. That depend on the databases. In order for the data warehouse to match up the dates, a standard date format would have to be agreed upon, and all the data is loaded into the data warehouse that have been converted into the standard format. That process, that means conversion, data warehouse, whatever the procedure that we are taken out, that process or this process is known as the extraction, transformation, load. That is a ETL. Extraction, transformation, load. And there are two And there are two parts of this one. There are two primary classes of thought when designing a data warehouse. So when we design a data warehouse, there are two parts of this one, two parts of data warehouse. One is a bottom up, one is a top down. So there are two approaches. One is a bottom down approach, one is the top down approach. Bottom up and the top down approach. So the bottom up approach starts by creating the small databases, create the data marts, and to solve the specific business problems. As these data marts are created, they can be combined into the larger database. So first of all, it is creating or it is using by creating the small databases. That means a small part that is known as the data marts. Then it is going into combine into the large database. So that small ones will be combined into make that large database or that large data warehouse. The top-down approach suggests that we should start by creating an enterprise-wide data warehouse, and then as specific business needs are identified, create the smallest or smaller data marts from the data warehouse. That means creating the or identifying the things, what are the various business needs that is required, what are the various smaller database that is required from the that is carried out from the data warehouse. This is the ERP, then there is the marketing, HR, sales. This is for the ETL, that is the extraction, transform, load from the data warehouse. This is converted into data mart. So everything is going into the data warehouse. First of all, it's stored in the data warehouse, then it will go into the data mart. So this is ERP, then marketing, then HR, then say ATL, ETL. This is the data warehouse. Then data marts. This is the data warehouse process, that is a top-down approach. So look the concepts, look the scenario. There are two parts or two primary class of data warehouse. One is the top-down, one is the bottom-up. In the bottom-up, there are small data warehouse that is created out, that is known as the small data marts. They are small data warehouses to solve the specific problems, and these are created or can be combined into the larger data warehouse. So first of all, small data marts that will be converted, that will be combined to make the larger data warehouse. And that also suggests that we should start by creating an enterprise-wide data warehouse, and that is used with the specific business needs that are identified, and also creates a smaller data marts for the data warehouse. So first one, this is the ERP, marketing, HR, sales. This is combined into the data warehouse, that is converted into data marts. Now, what are the various benefits of the data warehouse? We're done with what is the data warehouse. That means storing the data into the various tables, into the various databases, that is known as the data warehouse. Now, what are the various advantages? What are the various benefits of the data warehouses? So organizations find data warehouse quite beneficial for a number of reasons. Now, what are the various reasons why data warehouse is very beneficial? First one is the process of developing a data warehouse forces an organization to better understand the data that is currently collecting, and equally important, what data is not being collected. That means whatever the process that is follow up that is used to develop a data warehouse, that also forces an organization to better understand what is the data, how the data will be currently being used, how it is correctly correcting, and equally important, why it is being collected, how it is being collected, and what type of data is not being collected. That means what is equally important, collecting, and equally important, what is not collected. Then a data warehouse also provides a centralized view, because everything is available within the data warehouse. If something is missing, for example, if one of the file is corrupted in my computer, then I will go to the data warehouse simply and take out that one or that files. So a data warehouse provides a centralized view of all the data that is being collected across the enterprise, and also provides a means for determining the data that is inconsistent. And once all the data is identified as a consistent, an organization can generate one version of the truth. What is the one version of the truth? This is very important when the company wants to report consistent stats about itself, such as revenue or number of employees. Whatever the number of employees, whatever the data that is required, that also generates the one version of the truth. And by having a data warehouse, snapshots of data can be taken out or can be taken over the time. This creates a historical record of data that also allows for analysis of the trend. So that also allows for the analysis of the trend in the sense that also allows for a historical record of the data. So first one is, when we use a data warehouse, there is a clear understanding of the data, which is equally important and which is not important. That is, what is the collection, what is not collection. Then second, that also provides a centralized view. That means everything is collected at one place. That means there's a centralized location of all the data being collected across the enterprise, and also provides a mean for determining data that is inconsistent. Then once all the data is identified and consistent, that means everything is okay, then organization can generate one version of the truth. That is very important when a company wants to report the consistent stats such as the revenue or the number of employees. And by having a data warehouse, the snapshot on the data can be taken over the time. This creates a historical record of data that are also allows for the analysis of the trend. Whatever the analysis that we are generating, that makes the analysis over the time. Then our data warehouse also provides the tools to combine data, what can provide new information and the analysis. That means we are also using the information that can be provided. We also getting the information that can be provided, that can be used to provide the new information and the new data, that is the data analysis. So that is the data warehouse also provides tools to combine the data, which can provide the new information and the analysis. Next one is the data mining. How we can mine the data, what is the data mining, how it is used. Now let's move to the next topic, that is the data mining. So it is a process. Yeah, this is related to the data warehouse. Why we are storing the data? What is the advantage of storing the data? Why we are relevant in storing the data? So data mining is a process of analyzing. So as the name advises, mining. Mine means to find out something. So it is the process of analyzing data to find out previously unknown trends. What are the various unknown trends, patterns, in order to make the decision. That means in the past, what are the various trends? What are the various patterns? What are the various unknown pattern, unknown trends that will be available to show the trends, pattern, and the association in order to make the decisions. And generally, data mining is accomplished through automated means against extremely larger or the large data set. That means generally the data mining is accomplished. Data mining is available through automated means against extremely large data sets such as a data warehouse. Now, some of the examples of data mining include. So what are the various examples of data mining that should include? An analysis of the sales from a recovery or the large grocery chain might determine that milk is purchased more frequently the day after it rains in city with a population of less than 50,000. So this is analysis of the data. From the databases, we search that if today is a rainy day, so tomorrow the production, or we can say the sales of the milk is very high because the quantity of the milk is very less in this one, so the customers are not going for the market in the rainy day, so they are going for the next day, that is the tomorrow. This is an example with the population of less than 50,000. So that means analyzing the data. For example, if I'm analyzing your assignment, whether you are done the assignments perfectly or not, that means also the data mining. So it is a process of analyzing data to find out previously unknown trends, patterns, and associations in order to make the decisions. Generally, the data mining is accomplished through automated means against extremely larger sets such as a data warehouse. And some of the examples of data mining include. So what are the various examples of data mining that should include? First one is analysis of the sales from the large grocery chain market that determines how the milk will be produced, or how the milk is purchased more frequently the day after it rains. Then bank may find that the loan applicants whose bank account shows particular deposit and withdrawal pattern are not good credit risk. That means whatever the particular deposit that they are doing, they're not depositing the much more amount, they're not depositing that particular deposit, and the withdrawal pattern that are not good credit risk. Then there's a basketball team that may find that the collegiate baseball players with specific stats in hitting, pitching, and fielding makes four or far more successful major leagues. So whenever there is a basketball team that may find out that that is used for the basketball player that is used with the stats in the hitting, that means they are going to hit very very well. Then pitching, the pitch is very good, fielding, and makes for successful major league players. And in some cases, a data mining project is begin with the hypothetical result in the mind. That means in the mind, we are taking out the hypothetical result. That means that the bad result is available for the hypothetical result. So keep in mind that everything is bad, everything is going bad, and make the fruitful requirement, make the fruitful changes. For example, when you talk about the grocery chain, that may have some idea that the buying pattern changes after it rains. That is very good. Why? Because after the rain, the everything or the buying pattern changes, and want to get a deeper knowledge, deeper understanding of exactly what is happening, what is happened, why it is happened, what is the usage of this one. In other cases, there are no presuppositions and data mining program that is run against large data set in order to find the pattern and the association. That means there are no duplication, there are no presumption, and data mining program that is available that is running out against the large data sets in order to find out the patterns and the associations. What are the various patterns? What are the various associations that is required for the patterns? The next one is the privacy concern. That means what is the main privacy concern in the data mining and in the data warehouses? Privacy concern means what is the security, why we are going to use, or what is the main advantage of using the privacy concerns. So in some cases, a data mining project is begin with a hypothetical result in the mind. For example, when we talk about the grocery that we have done. Now, next part is what are the various privacy concerns that is available in the data mining. So whenever there is an increasing power of the data mining, that has caused concern for many, especially in the area of the privacy. So whenever there is an increasing demand, increasing power of the data mining, when there is a data mining is very relevant in the information system, that has caused concern for many, especially in the privacy or area of the privacy. In today's digital world, it is becoming easier than ever to take data from disparate sources and combine them to do a new list of or a new form of the analysis. Whatever the new form that is available, that is used with the new sources, that is used to combine the new form of the analysis. In fact, when we say about the whole industry that has sprung up around this technology, who are the data brokers? These ones combine publicly as accessible data with the information obtained from the government. So what are the information that is obtained from the government and other sources to create vast warehouse of data about the people and the companies that they can sell out. They can sell whatever the data that they can sell. They are going to do in a privacy of there's a privacy concern of the data storage that will go for the company that they are going to sell the data in the private terms. And this yeah this is going to use with the ethical concern of the information system. That means expertise in something, that is a privacy concern. The next one is the business intelligence and the business analytics. So with the tools such as the data warehousing and the data mining at their disposal, the businesses are learning how to use information to their advantage. What is their advantage? Why they're taking the advantage? So how the businesses are learning how to use the information, that is one of the advantage. And the term business intelligence is used to describe the process that an organization uses to take data that they are collecting and analyze it in the hope of obtaining a competitive advantage. That what is the competitive advantage in which we are getting the data? That is a business analytics, that is a business intelligence. So yeah, that is used to describe the process, which process or what organization will be taken out, or for what organization they are taking out the data, how to collect and how to analyze it with the hopes of obtaining a competitive advantage. And besides using data from their internal databases, firms often purchase information from the data brokers also. Also there is a data broker that also purchases the information from the data brokers to get a big picture understanding of their industry. And when we talk about the business analytics, is it a term that is used to describe the use of the internal company due to the improved business processes and the practices. That is, what are the various business processes that is used to take out? What are their internal company process that is used to improve the competitive or business process and the practices? The next one is the knowledge management. So we have to end up this chapter with the knowledge management, that is a key. And all the companies take their knowledge or acknowledge their or accumulate the knowledge over the course of their existence, and some of this knowledge is written down or the saved, but not in an organized way. So that is not organized way manner or that is saved out, and much of this knowledge is not written down. Instead, it is stored inside the head of the employees. So knowledge management is a process of formalizing the capture, indexing, and storing of the company. That is how they are capturing, how they are formalized, how they are going to capture, how they are going to index, and how to store the company's knowledge in order to get the benefits from the experiences and insight that the company has captured during its relevance or during its existence. That means we are going to use the process of the familiarizing, the capturing, indexing, and storing of the company knowledge in order to gain the importance, in order to gain the benefits from the experiences and insight that the company has captured. So, so this is a summary of this chapter. So in this chapter, we learn about the role that the data in the data warehouse or data in the databases plays in the context of the information system. And data is made up of the small facts and the information without the context. And if you give data context, then you have information knowledge or information, and the knowledge is gained when the information is consumed and used for the decision making. And what is a database? That is an organized collection of the related information. Relational databases are the most common or most widely used type of database where the data is structured into the table and all the tables must be related to each other through unique identifiers. That means everything is available with the organized information. Everything, we can say, every data is structured into the table and every table is related with each other through unique identifier. And there's a DBMS, that is a software application. That software application, that is a DBMS, it's a software application that is used to detect, that is used to find out what are the various data warehouses that is available. That is a special type of database that can take from other databases also in an enterprise and organize it for the analysis. And when I talk about data mining, it is a process of looking for pattern and relationship in a large data sets. Many of the businesses uses the database, data warehouse, and data mining technique in order to produce a business intelligence. That means in order to gain the more advantage, more intelligence, more competitive advantage. So they are using the data mining, they're using the data warehouses, databases, whatever the technique that is used for the competitive advantage. Now, next is question answers for this one, study questions. So the first question is, what is the difference between the data, information, and the knowledge? Then, yes. What are the various characteristics of the relational database? Why we are using the relational database? What is the main advantage of using the relational database? Then what is the normalization? Why we are using the normalization? What is the main benefit of the normalization? Why we are going to use that? Then why it is very important, or why is it important to define the data type of a field when designing a relational database? Whatever the designing a database that will be acquired for the data type of the field, so how to design them, how to design within the relational database. Then name a database you interact with the frequently. What would you, or what would some of their fields names be? So what are the data that is acquired that is used for this one? And what is the metadata? That is the data about the data that is known as the metadata. So what is the difference between the data information and the knowledge, and how the competitive or how the component are related to the hardware and the software component of the information system? Then what are the various characteristics of the relational database? And when would using a personal DBMS that makes sense over the data? And what is the main difference between the spreadsheet and the database? List 3 differences between them. Then describe the term normalization. What is the normalization term? Then name a database you interact with frequently. What would some of the fields name be? What is the metadata? So these are the various ready questions that is available within the data, that is available within the information knowledge.